Hey guys! Welcome back to what would be officially episode number 3 of our YouTube channel, Pastors After Hours.
We just came up with that name.
This is our long-anticipated follow-up video to our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge Let's Play that has been out for about a month. On the YouTube channel, gotten some hits, gotten some likes, got some subscribers. We're growing slowly.
Kids love Let's Plays.
Yeah, right.
They really do.
I love a Let's Play.
I still watch them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put them in when I'm sleeping sometimes to go to sleep to the Let's Play. So
I think I already did one shout out like this, but Matt Pat, we are available for like
Matt Pat
co-op stuff.
Understand, we are pastors. But we love theories.
Yeah. And
theories
Cat Pat.
Cat Pat. Ollie Pat, Steph Pat, all the Pats.
The whole Pat family, really.
Yeah, exactly. We have email. Alright, so, like I said, we are doing a follow-up video where our formula essentially will be doing a Let's Play. And then if we do a Let's Play, of course, we're not just going to leave it out there and do... We're not just a solely gaming channel. We are a fully encompassing whatever type of channel.
Yeah, we do it all.
So this will be our kind of follow-up video where we talk about the game, we talk about the Ninja Turtles, and talk about some of the biblical aspects that we thought about while looking at the Ninja Turtles and the game that we played. So, Hannan, you are way more of an expert on Ninja Turtles than I am. like way more. Okay, like let's just say it. Like you said, I was the expert in the Star Wars episode. You're definitely the expert for Ninja Turtles. And we're prepared today. We have some of the comics with us. We have fan art. I didn't even think we could get fan art this early in a YouTube career, but we got fan art. We got the katanas. We got nunchucks.
Which is not good to do while sitting down.
We got wooden katanas and bow staffs. So we've got the whole set here. We just need a master Splinter and 2 more friends.
I used to have a rat actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was not named Splinter. Right. It was named Skeever. It was more of a Elder Scrolls vibe.
Missed opportunity. Missed opportunity.
He was white though. He wasn't brown.
I do have a turtle.
That is true. And his name is Mikey.
And I found out this week that is the species of the Ninja Turtles.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a yellow belly slayer? What is he?
He's what are they called? The red.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bit. So like I wasn't really gonna like include this like in the notes and stuff like that I drew up, but Ninja Turtles was essentially blamed for an ecological disaster because kids in the 80s and 90s wanted those turtles so much.
True. I think they were selling them at the pet stores.
And they weren't like natural to like I guess North America.
Oh.
And then the kids, got bored after 2 weeks of having a turtle, so they would release them out in the wild. And apparently, they're very aggressive type turtles.
Why do you get bored of having a turtle? I mean, they're easy to take care of, and you just let them run.
Super easy.
Yeah. I saved a turtle while I was at work the other day. He was out in front of the road. I got out, walked him. I actually filmed it because I wanted to make brie jelly, and I filmed me walking him to the other side.
Yeah, I watched, it was a video by Looper, and they were talking about how one of the interesting facts about the Ninja Turtles is it caused an ecological turtle disaster.
Wow.
Because those turtles are super aggressive, and they are not, herbivores. They are omnivores. They will...
They eat fish.
Yeah, and they will go after the biggest fish in the pond. So lakes and ponds started, like, having... decrease in fish because of the turtle population.
Great job, responsible pet.
Alright. This is going to be an easy formula. First, we're going to talk about the turtles in general, what we call turtle talk. Then we're going to talk about the game, then some biblical aspects. So, Hannan, what about the Ninja Turtles?
All right. So I actually came prepared, wrote some stuff down.
All right.
Ninja Turtles originally created. I don't know if these names mean anything to you, but Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird.
Yep.
They actually got their start doing like a little their studio, if you will, or where they produced everything originally for their, because they were originally doing comics. Was just a bedroom apartment that that they like paid rent on. They had like a single light, a single phone, and that was like their office space, if you will. The very first issue in Turtles was made by accident to begin with. It actually it started out as just a little doodle. I can't remember if it was Kevin or Peter that did the original doodle, but he did a little doodle of a turtle with nunchucks like strapped to his arms, not even holding him, so it was like he was able to fight him, and he handed it to the other guy. And then he saw it, and he's like, okay, I can't. It's like I'm gonna add to this, and he did his own rendition of it, and added the name Teenage Mutant Turtle or something like that, and that was really, it was kind of like just one of those by accident things. And then they started kind of we have to have a story, we have to have a plot, and they kind of created the whole thing. The original issue was published in May of 1984, and it was a black and white comic. Which is why the original Ninja Turtles were all the same color.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no real distinguishing because they, other than the weapons that they were using, because it was a black and white comic that they were made for. They didn't even have like the letters on the belts at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
The black and white comic was super dark.
Yep.
Very very violent. It was not a kid orientated comic.
After we had talked about this the other day, I actually looked up some of the research in the comics, and I don't know if you have this down, but so I looked up, I was telling you about how I thought Shredder died in the first he did.
Oh, okay.
Like they straight up killed him off.
I need to read the originals. I've never actually read them.
And then they brought him back again, and like they killed him again. And there was even like one time where Raphael went down this like super dark path and like ended up being the Shredder for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like,
see, only thing I know from
dark.
the comics is that they killed the Rat King.
Okay.
The guy in the sewer with the raps.
I did not like
the one that in the game he had like the wave of the rats.
Oh yeah, that was not fun.
I know in the comics they kill him. That's about all I really know of the. I need to read those. But I do know that, because remember how I said that it was originally a play on Daredevil. Like,
yes.
It was like parody of Daredevil.
Yep.
So I actually went in and kind of like did the research. So what it was they were actually such fans of the Daredevil comic series that when they were coming up with like the kind of like original storyline was that the event that caused the Daredevil to go blind and gave him his superpowers after the canister hit him and had him go blind and whatnot, that same exact canister was what fell and mutated the Turtles.
I've heard that before. I wasn't sure if that was like official or if that was like fan theory.
No, it's 100% like it's verified because Daredevil trained by Styx, mean old grumpy guy, right?
Okay,
and he fights the hand. Turtles are trained by Splinter, and they fight the foot.
I would love to see a crossover, especially now that we have live action Daredevil with Charlie Cox and stuff like that.
Sure. Oh, that'd be so cool!
You
Bring
imagine?
the original turtle outfits back,
and like have him do like a one-off like Marvel special.
That'd be pretty cool. I'm a really good lawyer. I love that scene in Spider-Man.
Although, now, I have found this out this week, and I will find the episode. But, so that would put Turtles in Marvel.
Yeah. Are you about to say what I think you're going to say?
There was a...
Yes!
Power Rangers...
Team up!
Well, so, Turtles and Power Rangers have had crossovers multiple times. I mean, you got me this lovely comic with the original Mighty Morphin, which I love because the only live action one we had growing up was when they fought in space. However, there is a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode where I kid you not, Ernie at the juice bar that they would go to is like the Power Rangers have done for Angel Grove what Batman has done for Gotham. And I kid you not, Jason isn't like, they were not referring to the comics because Jason looks at him, he's like, yeah, I've heard about him in the news. And it's like, what? Batman is canon in Power Rangers?
What?
It's like, like for real? But then again, like Power Rangers also done like
they just do whatever they feel like.
Yeah,
Power
like
Rangers.
they done. But I mean, it's already been established now since like I don't know 2018 that there's a whole multiverse.
Yeah.
For like everybody's doing the multiverse thing,
and we're all intertwined.
Yeah. So, and there's some things with Power Rangers. Not getting on a Power Ranger tangent, but
Later,
essentially like some of the renditions of Power Rangers. Like, some of them are in the same universe, and some of them are not.
Okay. Which I think they had a whole thing of, like, time-traveling Power Rangers.
Well, so, funny enough, Power Rangers SPD, that whole season, they done a comic, a follow-up comic with that, where, like, essentially, like, Tommy is, like, you know, he's older now, and he's growing up, and he's you know, got kids and everything like that, and his kids ends up becoming one of the first, like, SPD Rangers.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Because it's essentially like, you know, Ranger technology has like created a police force now. So
I like how these shows
like,
that are legitimately made for kids. It's like I feel like the adults are more into them.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, we
kids.
grew up with it, and they try to keep it relevant for the adults. So they give us these little nuggets of fandom. So
that the parents can enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so did you have anything else?
Oh no! I mean, the original cartoon was made to sell toys. That was its only function.
Yeah.
They actually pitched the idea to Playmates, and they were also very protective. Kevin and Peter, they were both very protective of like Turtles because they wanted it to be done their way.
Yeah.
That's why Playmates wouldn't make toys unless they could get like a show to basically get the kids hyped up.
Yeah.
So when they finally got the deal to be cut with Playmates, they did do a 7-episode of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, which if you notice, the original like 7 episodes are very dark and they tend to have a lot more violence, whereas everything after that becomes more kiddish, tongue-in-cheek and whatnot. They kind of let go of the creative rights, I guess, if you will, during that one. So that wasn't really, they weren't really involved with the show after that. Yeah. So they did make $13.5 million on the first movie.
Wow.
Yeah, $13.5 million, and that was in what, 1990?
Yeah.
That's pretty insane. And then 1 year later, they made the second movie in 91.
Oh wow, there's just a year between.
Yeah, and the second movie was still fire. I mean, yeah, they had to make it more kiddish because the first one was very dark, violent. You have a dude who's literally whacking people with a cricket bat and a hockey stick.
Yeah.
And a golf club at one point. He literally hits Raphael in the crotch with the golf club.
And I do remember there was a little language.
Oh yeah.
Raphael had a potty mouth.
Yeah, he did. Well, actually, it's funny that you say that too, because like, you know, their trademark Cowabunga, shell power.
Yep.
You know, stuff like that. That was actually used to replace the curse words that they said.
Okay.
Yeah, they dropped a lot of the D word.
So, speaking of like the whole toy thing, so between 1988, when did the show come out? Was it 87?
The original cartoon was 87. Yeah, 3 years after. Yeah.
Okay, so 1988 to 1992, they sold $1.1 billion worth of toys.
Dang.
Yeah. That and being a proud owner of some of that merchandise.
I was gonna bring some of my turtle like figurines because like as a kid like I had a ton. I remember 3rd grade, Miss Bonnie staying in this class. If we did good, we got to go to like the toy chest, and she had legitimate toys in this chest.
My cousin, I kid you not, dude, I was so jealous of this because this was like having the Death Star Lego set of today, I guess. But it was Crane's Fortress.
What?
But it was
the dome?
Big. Like that sucker was massive.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Because toys were made so much bigger.
They were.
Like, I mean,
It wasn't that they were made bigger or that we were small.
No, they were definitely bigger. Because, dude, I still remember, like, my big thing was Power Rangers growing up. And those Megazords were...
That is true.
Like,
those were
huge.
pretty massive toys.
And they were cheap. But now, like, you go online to, like, eBay and stuff like that, and those things are worth, like, thousands of dollars. Like, oh, man, this would be, like, something awesome to have. Let me Google it. No, I do not have that.
Yeah.
Money.
Oh, you know what's funny is when you do that, and then you're like, Mom, do we still have this? No, I gave that away years ago. I was like, great. Well, you just gave away a couple $1,000. I hope you're happy.
So Ninja Turtles, I mean, it was created by them comic-wise, 1984, spawned comics, live-action movies,
games, a slew of games.
And multiple animation renditions. I mean, essentially Ninja Turtles seems to, like, I want to say maybe between 5 to every 10 years reinvents itself.
Yeah, they try to. The newest rendition we will not speak of.
Well, I mean, even now, there is a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie coming out next year.
Continuing with the live actions?
No, it's I want to say it was Seth Rogen that, like, produced a movie that came out either earlier this year or last year, and this is the follow-up. It's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's, like, kind of going on some of the mutant wars that went on in the comics in the 90s.
From, like, Dimension X?
Yeah, like some of the stuff like that. I have seen, like, movie posters and, like, images and stuff like that, and I know Crane is featured very heavily.
He has to,
so,
especially if you're gonna do Mutant Wars, because literally
the
whole Dimension X thing was where Crane was from.
Yeah. And going with, I mean, the comics versus the TV shows. Of course, the comics were made more for adults. Shows were made more for kids, toys, stuff like that. And the censorship was crazy on that. I know we were talking about that earlier. Talking about how in the UK it couldn't be called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because ninja was considered a very offensive word.
They don't like violence.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, in the UK, it's wild. They are way more apt to have a nudity scene before they show violence in a movie. It's wild.
They were called the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Which is horrible.
And no nunchucks. We can have sais. We can have katanas. You know, let's have the leader with swords. Sharp object, definitely going to penetrate. But we can't have nunchucks. Like, that I don't get.
Well, and then also, they actually, for the censorship, after the original 7, if you notice, their fight scenes, they don't really use their weapons much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was because they wanted the weapons used as limited at times as possible.
That's why
to reduce on violence.
Second movie, you just don't see it.
They have them, but very rarely use them.
Now, of course, the reboot from 2014. I mean, like those two movies that they did.
Oh yeah.
TMNT and TMNT.
Shadows.
Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows. They did, which I love. I love that movie.
Because they got Bebop and Rocksteady.
No, I liked it because Stephen Amell played Casey Jones, and all I could think of is, I want this man to say one time in this movie, "You have failed this city." I want an Arrow reference. I wanted that man to pick up a bow and arrow and put a hood on.
There we go. Who are you?
So yeah, TV show. I mean, it spawned such a joyous childhood. I mean, I remember waking up on Saturday mornings and watching it. I mean, it was a great show.
I mentioned it in the playthrough, but I did the all turtle diet for like a while. I don't know why my parents let me do it, but just pizza day and night. That's all I would eat.
And speaking of the Cowabunga thing, do you know that there was a lawsuit?
For Cowabunga?
Yeah, for Cowabunga.
Why?
For the guy who coined it. His name is Bill something. And he sued Eastman and Peter Lard for the rights to Cowabunga, and they settled out of court for like a couple of $1,000, and that was it.
How do you have the rights to a word?
I guess because he coined it.
Huh.
I don't know like the full history behind it, but yeah, that was a lawsuit over cowabunga.
Did he say it like they did? Because they would do the cowabunga.
I don't know, but that word got famous because of Ninja Turtles. Like that's the whole reason that it became a thing was because of the Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles apparently like spawned like a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, I've heard there's been a lot of lawsuits.
So comic wise, have you read a lot?
I have not read any of the comics. It was something I've always wanted to read. And actually, I remember when I got Marvel Unlimited, the little app to read all the comics. For some reason, I thought Marvel owned the rights. Like Marvel owns the rights to they do now because they're Disney, but they own the rights to the Star Wars comics.
Yeah.
And I thought for some reason that they own the Turtle rights, but I guess not. I think it's like Dark Horse or something that owns the rights now.
Huh.
I'm not sure, but I've never actually been able to get copies of them to read them.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is literally the only one I have.
Yeah, and actually, even when I got you that, the comic shop that I was at, that I got you that, I couldn't find any of the original TMNT comics. They had like there's like kiddish ones now, but the like original black and white. Now there are like anthology books, but even still, I've not been able to get one of those. I mean, I can probably go on Amazon and do it, but I just haven't gotten one of those.
We need a field trip Player's Choice.
Actually, yeah, they probably do have the anthologies.
Probably.
That's what they're called, right? Anthologies, where it's like the culmination of the whole series in a book.
I guess.
We're gonna call it that, even if it's not.
I am a comic book enthusiast, not an aficionado. Yeah. But speaking of that, I mean, the comics are still very relevant. What was it? The Last Ronin came out in 2020, and that was the whole story. Spoilers if you haven't read it, I guess, at this point. But essentially, it's a dystopian future where all the turtles have died except for Michelangelo, and Michelangelo, being the party guy, is now a battle-hardened, seasoned ninja using all 4 weapons.
He uses all 4 of them.
Yes, he
that's
uses
cool.
all 4, and you see like there's different comics renditions they've done where he's wearing all 4 of the bandanas like on his arms, and he wears a black one. Like cool. Really embracing like a very dark
new
ninja.
Does he wear their sister's headband?
Oh,
Venus de Mayo.
If y'all don't know, in Ninja Turtles there has been a rendition of a 5th turtle
made by Saban.
Only twice. One was
Venus de Mayo in the Saban series.
Yep.
That was not well received, but I loved it still.
Peter Lard and Eastman hated her so bad that after that they banned her from ever being mentioned.
She
again.
made no sense. She had like a fan sword, first of all, so that was just dumb right there. But second of all, she had psychic powers.
Yeah.
Why did you have psychic powers?
She also used magic.
Yeah, it was her.
And her origin story made no sense. Like, she was with the turtles when they mutated, but then got sent off to Japan.
Yeah. It was not well done. That's why they only got 1 season of that show.
Yeah, and the only reason that it spawned its spin-off by being a team up with the Power Rangers in space.
Saban. And well, also at that time was when you had like all the big bad Beetleborgs and the Knights of.
That one was good. The Knights of Tyranny.
No, I think that is what it is. That was another show I loved. It was horrible, but I loved it.
Oh yeah, going back and trying to watch it now, it's like, I couldn't even get through an episode. I tried watching it like maybe a year or 2 ago.
All right.
But like, man, as a kid,
I had good.
All 4 of the Knights.
I had the Skeletor knockoff guy.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
I had the sword. It was like the foam sword, but like it was like the hilt was hard plastic and it was electronic and would make like sounds.
Cool.
Oh man, loved it. But wow, the stuff we watched in the 90s. But that whole Last Ronin comic has actually been planned almost since Ninja Turtles inception.
Really?
Like
that was where they always wanted to get.
they wanted, because essentially, from what I've understood, the first turtle they drew was Mikey.
Mm. Yeah, with the
they thought it would be great to take the party clown, essentially, of the Ninja Turtles, and then let's turn the world upside down and make him the lone survivor and make him then the most bad butt turtle ever. So that's what they did. And it actually got a follow-up called Last Ronin Lost Years that came out this year.
Oh,
so Ninja Turtles is still making
I need
comics.
to pick that one up at least. That one should be easy to find.
And man, people are trying to make a Last Ronin movie, because I've seen there's one company, of course, it's a YouTube thing, but they made a whole live action-ish looking CGI Last Ronin trailer. So good.
That's pretty cool.
Terrible, can't talk about some of the themes that are in it publicly, because it mentions some very dark stuff, but so good. Oh man, I teared up a little bit, won't lie. I was like, man, Mikey, don't do it. But it was ooh, it was good. I would love to see a movie like that.
I know,
especially with the storyline that it had. Great comic.
Just don't give it to Michael Bay. You stay away from it.
Although, just saying, and mentioning real quick about Transformers. Have you seen the trailer for the latest one?
I kind of stopped following the Transformers.
So, you remember Beast Wars?
Okay, yes. Really?
Yep.
Okay, I'm down again.
They're in it. Cheetor and
Rat Pack.
Optimus Primal are in the trailer.
Which one was Optimus Primal? Was he the monkey? He was the gorilla.
Yeah, he was the gorilla, and he looks good. I don't know what storyline they're going with, because it's not in the past. It's in the future with the other, and
I thought the original. We're gonna get way off topic with Beast, but I thought the whole thing with Beast Wars was it was after the time of the Transformers, because weren't they actually looking for
So yes, but essentially the original. I don't know how this all worked, because it's
they were connected, but it was not very well.
Beast Wars, what were they called? The Predacons and the something, whatever the good guy Autobots were.
I had a big bat.
Oh yeah,
he was such a cool toy.
They were from the future. They were after the Autobots, but somehow got sucked back in time, because there were people on Earth, but they were cavemen.
Okay, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's when Earth was, and that's why they turned into dinosaurs and animals, was because that's what was available, essentially. But then I remember it. The show was very hard to follow.
It was, but it was so cool as a kid.
Yeah, so good. But yeah, so moving on to the game. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. Really just a beat-em-up game.
Classic arcade style.
Yeah, that classic style. Well, is it 16-bit?
Yeah, that's what they were trying to go for.
Okay, 16. Okay. Yeah. I always get that confused on
8 bits NES, 16 bits Super Nintendo.
Okay. Is there any other bit?
Well, I don't remember what N64 64 was like. Yeah, 64 was more than 64 megabytes. Megabit. I can't remember.
I don't know.
I'm sure there is. Start giving them dumb names like Wii and Xbox.
And it's very reminiscent of some of the NES titles that came out when we were kids. There were Ninja Turtle games. The first one I think that ever came out was technically an unbeatable game. There was a glitch in it or something where you couldn't beat it or something like that.
Not the first one. That was the second one. It was
one.
TMNT 2, and oddly enough, it was actually released the same year as TMNT 1. So they obviously pushed that game out, and that's why it was unbeatable.
Gotcha.
Because that's the one where you actually drove around in the Shellmobile or whatever. What was that called?
Now, did you know that in Shredder's Revenge, the one we just played a few weeks ago, that all the original cast of the cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, that's what I was so stoked about. It was like all the original voices.
I did not
Bebop,
know
Rocksteady, all of them. And because it blew my mind, because when, in the zoo level where you fight Leatherhead,
yeah,
I was blown away that they actually had the Leatherhead guy. I was like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah, I did not know that it was the original actors in the 1987 cartoon.
Yeah.
So Hannan, what was the plot of that game?
I don't know. The plot of the game was because it starts out as there's Krang's head, and they're remodeling the Statue of Liberty. So you're running around after Krang's robotic head, and then near the last level, Krang gets rebuilt, and then you fight Shredder, who's transformed the Statue of Liberty, and then you fight the Statue of Liberty, or no, you fight the Statue of Liberty first, and then you fight Shredder. What was the order of operations? It was Liberty, then Shredder. Shredder was the final.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. So go watch the playthrough. It's there.
So Crane was essentially trying to take over New York. Is that?
Oh, Crane's always kind of the.
Would that be the plot?
Puppet master. Yeah, Crane always calls the shots, even though Shredder's like the. I'm serious. Shredder's the big guy, but Crane always calls the shots.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, that's so weird.
I like that they threw the Triceratons in.
Oh yeah.
I honestly thought that they were going to get forgotten, so that was really cool.
What was that whole thing like? So, Shredder's like your nemesis, okay? But where did Crane fit into all of that?
He's from Dimension X, so he comes in because Crane's also the one that So Dimension X is an area of just constant war. Like that's the whole thing with Dimension X. And Crane comes into the world, and he actually has Shredder to build him a body, because at one point he's just the brain on the legs. Yeah, and
I always thought he was just like essentially Shredder's like tech guru.
No, Crane is. That's why, because all of the what is the dome called? I can't think of what it's called right now. Mechanodome,
I think you're
I'm right on the cusp. I can't think of what it's called right now, but either way, it will come to me in like 20 minutes. I'll just shout it out. He was the one that made the dome. He was the one that made the termites and all the robots and everything that you fight.
Okay.
That was all Crank, because it's just their whole thing is domination and war. He brings the rock peoples in from Dimension X, which are mutated rocks. Go explain that one. I don't know how you do that, but
were there pizza people in the game? There were pizza people. There were pizza monsters.
Oh yeah, and see that one was kind of weird, because that's not what they originally were. Those were like the alien things that were in the sewers. And in the game, they gave like pizza monster versions of them, and I'm like, what? That was pretty wild.
They essentially look like hot lava.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So yeah, the game was very reminiscent of 80s and 90s style gaming. I remember you saying when we were playing it in the intro, you were like, you essentially felt like you were waking up on Saturday morning.
Got the same theme song and everything.
Well, eat Cocoa Puffs and play video games. And at face value, game is not overly complicated. I mean, it wasn't overly hard. It took us 2 hours to beat?
Yeah,
something like that.
That was us just messing around.
And we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I love the beat 'em up, especially beat 'em ups like that, because they're so simple. Because it is something that like anyone can just pick up a controller.
Yeah.
And play. Without even real punishment, because they had like the revive mechanic and things like that.
Isaac and Emma have both went through it. Isaac absolutely enjoys it. It's an easy game that you can definitely like play with a 6-year-old.
Oh yeah. and it's cool too, because you can also be like, hey, this is what me as a 40-year-old person, this is what I grew up with. I'm not 40.
Probably a lot harder back then.
Oh yeah, the games back then were.
Oh yeah.
What was it? Turtles in Time. Originally, it was an arcade cabinet, so it was literally just designed to suck quarters. Even when they ported it to the Super Nintendo, that game was still brutal.
Yeah. I have to this day still not beaten Super Mario World.
Oh my lord, dude!
Yeah.
What are we doing this? What are we doing this for right now? Get out of N64!
Hey!
Or no,
Mario,
Super Nintendo.
super relevant now because now the movie's coming out. Dude, have you seen the new trailer?
Yes.
The latest one?
Even Bree's stoked about it.
Donkey Kong just mortally just beating Mario to death. You know what it reminded me of?
Smash.
Oh,
no.
Avengers 1, where Hulk picks up Loki and just...
Damn God!
And also, just the fact, talking about Smash, it's like realistic Smash because it's like, okay, how are you going to beat a big gorilla? You're not. You're going to get the mess beat out of you.
You jump him.
And I saw something about like even like a Mario Kart race in the movie.
Yeah, they actually have him driving down Rainbow Road. I was like, how awesome is this?
So this movie is just essentially like one giant fan service.
It's going to be amazing.
Nice.
I fully believe it's going to be amazing.
Oh,
And it's got Chris Pratt. If Chris Pratt's in it, it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
It's a guarantee.
Oh, have you seen the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special?
The holiday special, no, but I did see here the trailer for the new
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
the holiday special is out, and it
Didn't know that was a thing.
drops a major secret.
Define secret.
You find out two people are related.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
Need to watch it. About 40 minutes. Hilarious. Has Kevin Bacon in it.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, there we go. He's going to get all footloose on it in here and go fight some
There are
graboids.
so many Footloose jokes in that.
Do we got not trimmers? Yeah, trimmers.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we got trimmers jokes
Oh,
in there?
wow. No.
Nah, no graboids? Okay.
But a lot of Footloose jokes, like because essentially Drax thinks that Kevin Bacon is an actual hero and that he saved the town with. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but Drax is kind of simple. But yeah, so he thinks that Kevin Bacon actually saved the town with dancing.
I mean, he kind of did.
But did he though? So before we get into some of the biblical talks, you have pizza.
I have a surprise for us.
Oh.
So we're going to start out and keep it... Stop it, Donatello's whipping.
Alright,
Alright, we're going to keep it simple.
Okay, simple.
Alright, so we're going to do some TMNT pizzas. Right?
Hannan brought pizza.
I brought pizza. So this is the pepperoni one. So our first concoction, I figured I'd kind of like wean us into it, start off.
So, FYI, if you don't know what we're talking about, the Ninja Turtles' big staple of food has always been pizza. The Ninja Turtles eat pizza like Naruto eats ramen, okay? So, I think that's a fair comparison.
That is a pretty fair comparison.
So, in the Ninja Turtles comics, shows, movies, everything...
Actually, they didn't
not
bring that
just-
until the... I don't know if they brought it... That was actually specifically for the shows. That was in
It
the
was?
original comics.
Oh.
Yeah, that was only in the shows.
So, the Ninja Turtles would always put a diverse amount of stuff on their pizzas. In fact, I remember, now that we're talking about it, I remember in, I think it might have been the first movie, when April is ordering pizza for them, and she asks, so what do you guys like on your pizza? And Mikey is like, flies, stink bugs. Oh, man, that's a good voice. Flies, stink bugs, And then he's like, I'm joking. We're New Yorkers. He's like, we just want the regular stuff.
No, they do not. So our
That's a lie.
first concoction is the episode 29, April Fool, and the pizza is marshmallow and pepperoni.
Okay.
So like I said, it's not going to be. I did us easy ones to start off with, ones that it's questionable, but
Okay.
it could still be good,
So
right?
marshmallows on
Marshmallows
my
and pepperoni.
marshmallow fell away.
This is all good.
Oh.
So marshmallows and pepperoni.
Okay.
I wish I
All
knew
right.
which turtle this pizza was their favorite of.
Oh, you just went in there.
Alright. So, I'm gonna tell you what this is like. And you tell me what you think. It's like pineapple pizza.
Wow.
Right? It's like pineapple pizza.
It really is.
Yeah. That's exactly what I get from it, is pineapple pizza.
It's got that sweet. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm a fan of marshmallow.
Marshmallow and pepperoni pizza, dude.
Oh no. It just gets worse from here, doesn't it?
No. I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice and do like two like ones that are weird, but potentially have possibilities of goodness. And then the last one's gonna be bad.
Okay.
All right. The last one's gonna be bad. Donatello, I swear, you do not stop. Stop. Okay. Next one is from the episode The Gang's All Here, episode 58. Chocolate chip on cheese pizza.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
Not too bad. Hannan wasn't a terrible guy.
I'm scared now because you've given me too easy, and then it's like.
It's gonna be bad for the end, I promise.
Oh no.
So there's your chocolatey chippy chips. We'll use the cheese
So
pizza.
I wonder if you called like a pizza place and like asked them.
I want the Ninja Turtle special, please. Okay. No, it's not bad either. I like that one. It's exactly what a pizza with chocolate on it tastes like. Or what you would think a pizza with chocolate on it would taste like. I also got the milk. Chocolate chips.
Yeah,
So-
I feel like I essentially just like took like a huge bite of pizza and then like ate a cookie
Candy
right
bar,
afterward.
yep.
Yeah.
Not too wild. Now,
Yeah.
the next one is where we get pretty wild.
Oh no.
That's what we need the butter knife for, actually.
If you
just call me.
Oh, I think I know where this is going. If I'm wrong, oh well. But
what episode is this one from?
okay, so we've had marshmallows.
You have
we
marshmallows.
had chocolate chip. Oh Lord.
All right. It's from episode 120. Raphael's Turtle of 1,000 Paces. And I'll have you open this up for me. We're gonna have peanut butter. If you want to go ahead and get that bad boy open.
Peanut
Okay.
butter. Oh no.
And
oh no.
grape jelly. Okay, not too bad, right? Like, okay, that's a little weird. Nothing to write home.
But there's a but.
All right.
Oh
There's
no.
always
oh
a
no.
It is the favored peanut butter, jelly, and tuna pizza.
Oh, come on. No, they did not really eat that. How many combinations are there?
This, I don't even think this is all of them, but this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24 combinations. One of them was toast and tea, and I was kind of interested in that one. But
Toast and tea.
toast and tea.
They have a special British day?
I don't know.
Okay.
So we gotta put the put the peanut
Okay,
butter on
putting
first.
The peanut butter on first.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
Okay, is that good?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was good to me. I'd eat that.
All right, here
And I'm
you
about
go.
to.
I'm just. Oh, I don't know about the tuna, man.
See, so parents watching this, your kid is going to lunch one day, and you're like, man, I'm really concerned that my kid is, eating the same thing for lunch every day, and I want to make sure they're getting a nutritious meal, and I want to make sure that it's varied, so their, friends are like, oh man, you have such a great parent that's making your lunches. Here you go. Put a little bit of the jelly on it.
Oh man.
Got some great jelly.
I mean, I'm good with the peanut butter and jelly, but
And I splurged, and I got us the solid white albacore.
I hear you.
Smell that cat food. Are you a fan of tuna by chance?
It's hit or miss.
Look at that. Oh, that looks so
chicken.
good.
It's chicken. It's chicken. It's chicken.
So how that makes it better?
It's chicken. Don't smell it.
You put your tuna on.
Don't smell it. It's chicken. It's chicken.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, you tell me when.
I just kind of spread it all over.
Okay.
That looks good to me.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So, last combination.
Ready?
Peanut butter and jelly cheese pizza with tuna.
Tuna.
And whose idea was this?
I don't know. It's probably Mikey. I think Mikey came up with all the weird combos. You're welcome.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's different. I'll be honest though, I'm not hating it. My stomach will probably hate me later.
Is it weird that I don't taste the tuna?
I taste the tuna. You don't taste it?
Overwhelming amount of peanut butter.
Oh, there's a thin coat that you put on it too. That wasn't bad. I would share that with my friends.
Yeah, it wasn't like the hot sauce challenges where we're dying.
No, I would go to a pizza shop with my own peanut butter and jelly and tuna and be like, hey, make me pizza and just put this on there for me. And then I would make Brie eat it.
Bring the marshmallow one back.
Bring the marshmallow back. Oh! Funny story while we're eating food. When Brie and I were dating in high school, because we were weirdos at the time, right? We used to do this thing where we would make hot dogs. And then we would put marshmallow fluff, and whipped cream on the hot dogs and eat them. And that sounds so weird, but dude, I don't know if it was because we were in love or what, but it was really, it was good. She's got earbuds in, so she can't hear anything I'm saying.
That's, I mean, okay. I mean, I didn't trust you on the other combinations, but clearly it wasn't bad, and the tuna did not make me,
No.
want to throw up, so there we go.
Next time I'll find anchovies. I just could not find anchovies.
Oh.
Can I do it?
You're going to have to strap me down. I'm not a fan of, like, little fishes like that.
Little fishies. I think the chocolate chip one was my favorite.
Totally.
Chocolate chip one was hands down the best.
At least definitely flavorful.
Yeah, it had the best flavor.
I'm putting marshmallows on my pizza after this. Like, just hands down. Like,
Right. Good.
I would put the chocolate and the marshmallows on it.
Oh man, that would be good. Sweet tooth pizza. We need to open a restaurant. Called Crazy Pizzas.
Crazy.
Our slogan would be, you'd have to be crazy not to try it.
Hey, listen. Listen. I'm with you on this because when we went to Florida, remember? We went to a ramen shop.
That's true.
It was all decked out with
Dragon Ball
Z stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
that's some good ramen.
We'll have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed restaurant. Peter Eastman, don't sue us.
They actually sold their rights to Viacom. They don't own the
Viacom, don't sue us.
Yeah, Viacom, they probably would.
All right, I'm gonna clear our table.
Nope, you good.
So we talked about the Ninja Turtles, and we talked about the game. Now, of course, we are pastors, so we look for the gospel and Jesus and everything. And I'd like to say we're very successful at it. So we did pick up some biblical aspects from this. So Hannan, what did you find? Share with class.
Show and tell. Okay, so my biblical draw, because we didn't just do it to just the game. We did it to game, show, movie, whatever.
Or else we'd really be scraping the barrel.
Yeah, it would be pretty tricky.
Yeah.
But
It's like those videos where the TikToks where they come up to like the pastor, like the youth pastor, and it's like they hand him like a phone charger's like
make a sermon.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah, and like either they're really good or they're like, what?
And he goes, when you are plugged out of life and you need to be recharged, it's like that's super cheesy.
Yeah.
Stop.
We can tell you thought of this in 10 seconds. All right,
It's like
calm down.
30-second sermon, go.
So I've heard a couple of those that are actually like really good. It's like,
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go. That's your
Yeah.
Sunday for you right there.
But then it's also like that's cheesy.
All right. So mine. I pulled mine from the reboot series in 2003 when they rebooted the Turtles, gave them a whole different background. I actually think it was made by 4Kids Entertainment, if I'm not mistaken, because it was very reminiscent of how Batman,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
animated series was, if I remember correctly. Either way, so in that one, the origin story for the Turtles and everything is you have Splinter is a pet to a martial arts master. His last name is Yoshi, and that's what they always kind of refer to him. I think the first name was like Himatashi or something. Hirotashi?
Yeah.
I can't remember,
Like
but the last name was Yoshi. And Shredder and his minions basically break into his house one day, and they think that he's basically working against them. Like he's helping out the enemies of the Foot Clan, so they're basically here to shut Yoshi down.
Gotcha.
And so they come in and they start fighting him, and he's doing well, but then they start kind of including tactics that are not, like they have like these electrodes and they're shocking Yoshi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in the fight, Splinter's cage gets broken, and Splinter tries to do what he can to help his man. Bear in mind, he's just a normal rat at this point.
Yeah.
So he's, he tries to do what he can, and he actually scratches the Shredder's face, but then he gets thrown out a window, and he catches the rim, and they actually watch him kill his master. Well, the thing is during the time that Splinter lived with his master, he would watch Yoshi as he trained and did the ninjutsu, and show like Splinter in the cage practicing martial arts and stuff.
Yeah.
But he watches his master die, and he falls down into the alleyway, and he's just completely defeated. He just watched his essentially his family get murdered right in front of him.
Yeah.
So it's a very low point. He's in the pit of all things, but it's because of this horrendous event where he lost someone that he loved, as difficult of a situation as that is, that it put him in the position, for future events to take place. Because once he comes out of the sewer, it's a little boy. He's carrying the jar. It has the 4 turtles in them.
Yeah.
And there's a car accident that begins to happen, and the truck that's involved in the accident is one of the trucks that's carrying the ooze. But the boy has to get out of the way. He drops the jar of the turtles. They fall, break, and the turtles go down the sewer.
Dun dun dun.
Dun.
The boy who dropped the turtles was Matt Murdock. Sorry.
That would be cool. So Splinter goes down there to basically rescue the turtles, because they're just little infant turtles. And they're covered in the ooze, so you see Splinter picking them up out of the ooze. Well, he begins to care for them, and then that's when, over time, as he's raising them, he notices his mutation as well as their mutation.
Yeah.
And then once they get old enough, he begins to train them in the ways of ninjutsu. And that then makes the way that the turtles go, and they begin to fight off the Foot Clan and Shredder. Okay. So it's kind of the idea that in this evil, horrendous act, it as hard as it is to suffer the loss of someone, or even an event, insert your own issues that you're going through. As hard as it is to go through, Scripture even tells us that God is able to work for the good to those who love Him. That's in Romans. But my scripture that I wanted to pull is from Genesis chapter 50. So this is the story of Joseph. We know Joseph. He tells his brothers of his dreams. Probably not a good idea, because it was basically like, hey, you guys are going to bow down before me. And they're like, no, we ain't. So they throw him into a well to die. And then they're like, we can't let him just die in there, so we'll pull him up, we'll make a few bucks selling him into slavery. So they sell him into slavery. While he's enslaved, he is purchased by Potiphar, becomes head over the household of Potiphar's home. Potiphar's wife catches eyes for him, and then he denies her. He even says, "How can I do this and sin against God?" When Potiphar's wife is trying to come after him. So she didn't like that answer and says that he raped her, and he's thrown into jail. He in jail becomes basically head over the jail, if you will. He was helping the prison warden, and then the king's or the pharaoh's baker and cupbearer come in, and they have the dreams. He tells them what their dreams mean. Cupbearer, your dream's good. Bread maker or baker, your dream's bad. You're gonna get your head. You're gonna lose your head. Cupbearer gets restored back to his position, and he tells the cupbearer, please don't forget me. And naturally, he forgets him. 2 years down the line, Pharaoh's having a nightmare. And again, here's even more of it. It was horrible that he forgot him, but 2 years down the line, Pharaoh had his nightmare. So then the cupbearer is reminded, and they bring Joseph out to tell Pharaoh of his nightmare. So you see, and then from that, he's actually put into a position of power. He becomes Pharaoh's right-hand man. So you see a whole trail of horrible events. So life is totally unfair, for Joseph. But not a single time does Joseph complain.
Right.
Not a single time does he curse God or turn his back. So often when we face difficulties, loss or hurt, something like that, our first thing is to blame God. How dare you do this to me?
Yeah.
Even though every single event that occurred was the act of human will. His brothers were angry, so they were going to kill him. But then they decided that their greed was going to take place, so they sold him. We had him being lusted for, and even though he denied, he was still wrongly accused. He's thrown into jail, and he assists people with the cupbearer in his restoration to power, but he is then forgotten, essentially wronged. So you have all these events that are taking place totally not by his doing.
Right.
He was faithful through all of his events, but because people decided to chase after evil and wicked ways, he was being hurt. So we tend to have a tendency, we want to blame God for that, and that's not the path that we should take. He stays faithful, constantly thinking, how would my God is with me, watching. It's like, again, with Potiphar's wife, how can I sin against God? Even when he comes before Pharaoh, he says, God will reveal to you what your dream means.
Yeah.
Not him. It's not anything that he's doing. It's all God's power. He's, even through all the hardship, he's still giving God the glory. And then ultimately we see everything kind of end as his brothers come in. He hides himself. He reveals who he is. His brothers are like, "Oh man, it's our brother that we thought was dead." He's like, "Go get my dad, bring him back to Egypt." There's the whole thing with the famine, and so that's how we get to this. His brothers think that now that at this point Israel has died, and his brothers think that now that their dad is dead, that Joseph is going to basically turn coat and just treat them horribly, which it would be totally out of character. Why would he do all of these things for you if that was his plan all along?
Absolutely.
It doesn't make sense. So his brothers come, and they basically are saying, we're going to be servants. And it says, and this is verse 18 through 21 of chapter 50. Then his brothers also came and fell down before him and said, "Behold, we are your servants." But Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid, for am I in God's place?" Still, even again, reverence to God. Am I in God's place? As for you, you meant evil against me. We're not denying what happened. You meant evil against me. But God meant it for good, in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive. So therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones. So he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. So as horrible as the event was, had the very first event of his brother's betrayal not taken place, Joseph would not have been moved into position to ultimately become the second-hand person of the Pharaoh and to preserve the life of the nation and nations around him during the time of the famine.
Yeah.
You know, so again with Splinter, yes, horrible that his master died, but had he not have died, Splinter would have never been exposed to the mutagen. Splinter would have never found the turtles, raised them, taught them ninjutsu in order to actually go and cut the source of the problem at the root.
And we talk about the hardship that Joseph went through in all those years, and something that's not focused on a lot is wonder what Splinter's. Whenever we see the Ninja Turtles, they're always grown up. I mean, they're teenagers,
Yeah.
but they're let's say 16, 17 years old, and they're fully matured martial artists. But we never think about all the hardship that maybe Splinter went through raising them.
That's true too.
Because not only has he got his own changes to deal with and the loss of his master, but now he's a father of 4.
Sure.
And being a turtle owner, when they get sick,
Oh man.
it is for real trying to get them healthy again. So, kind of wonder, what Mikey would have been like with a cold. but I mean, all the hardship that he had to face, raising 4 turtles.
And see, that's like, again, in Romans it says, God is able to turn all things for the good of those who love Him. So I mean, regardless of the situation you're in, and it's literally just when you have evil and you bring God into the equation, good is going to be the result of it.
Yeah.
Regardless, you just have to, as difficult as it is sometimes, you have to remain in that steadfast faith. And think of it, with Joseph was not a mature adult. He was literally had all this happen because he was a big mouth who went and told his brothers, "You're going to bow before me one day."
Yeah.
So he was not mature. But in everything that he did, it was all God focused and centered through the trials and the difficulties.
Yeah.
It goes to Paul. I have learned to be content in all circumstances.
Yeah.
Even Ephesians, God is able to do exceedingly more abundant than we could ever think or imagine. That's why it's so important that in our hardships, instead of going and becoming receding from the faith, we need to actually go that much harder into prayer.
Yeah.
It's okay to come to God and have questions, and it's okay to come to God and be angry, but don't ever quit talking to Him.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that whole idea of looking at the Ninja Turtles kind of as a whole and not just the game, one of the things that I was looking at is, again, looking at one of the adaptations of Ninja Turtles, the reboot movie back in 2014, the live action one. It had like Megan Fox and all those actors. The beginning of that movie is kind of like Splinter voicing over, like he's essentially giving a speech to the Turtles. And you at one point see the origin of the Turtles in that movie. Of course, same story, mutagen. Of course, now in this one, April O'Neil was the owner of the Turtles and Master Splinter. And she essentially puts them, she tries to get them to flee away because her dad's lab blew up or some mess like that. A whole story there. But the thing that I found interesting is you actually see Splinter cleaning up their little sewer area one day, and he picks up a ninjutsu book that has went through the storm drain. And it's funny because I actually have the book that...
Really?
Yeah. I have the book that...
Why are we using it?
Right? And you see him, training with all 4 of the weapons until, he's this proficient, super master of all forms of fighting. And then you see him when the Turtles are slowly getting older and walking and moving a little bit more. He starts taking each one of them and training them in a particular style, and then of course giving them their iconic weapons of size, nunchucks, bow staff, katana, and each weapon, of course, like you've told me, very unique to their strengths and their abilities. and their personality as well. And it took me to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, where I'm going to start in verse 14, where it reads, "For in fact the body is not one member, but many. If the foot should say, 'Because I am not the hand, I am not of the body,' is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear should say, 'Because I am not the eye, I am not of the body,' is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were the eye, where would be the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where would be the smelling? But now God has set the members, each one of them, in the body just as he pleases. And if they were all one member, where would the whole body be? But now indeed there are many members, yet one body." And this goes to the idea of Christianity is a brotherhood and sisterhood of individuals that come together. Yeah, I know. Donatello? Gosh. But Christianity is a brotherhood and sisterhood of people who are very diverse, very different, but it's not our similarity that brings us together. It is God who brings us together through our shared love of Christ. And, Paul is talking about the spiritual gifts here, and, we could spend hours talking about that. But the whole idea of everyone, has access to the gifts of God. Everyone has access to the gifts of the Holy Spirit. But I guess the old quote, "No man is an island." No one's a one-man army. No one was meant to do it alone, especially in Christianity. Jesus called 12 very diverse disciples of different backgrounds. I'm starting to be reminded of that a little bit more as I'm watching the Chosen show, especially as with how different they are. And it's funny because, of course, now this part's not biblical, but you see like the disciples bickering, like when Jesus is away, like they're always bickering when he's gone. And it's hilarious because it's like they show Peter as being somebody who's very like aggressively leader, whereas the others are like, "Well, who put you in charge?"
Yeah.
Like that kind of it's funny. It's obviously dramatized, but it's funny because you see that in churches. You see people like too many chiefs and not enough Indians, I guess. But in the Turtles, we see that family. Were the Turtles related? I don't know. Maybe.
No.
Was Splinter actually their father? Of course not. He's a rat. But you see a diverse family of abilities coming together to overcome evil. And that's the same with believers. We are all called by God, by the blood of Jesus Christ, to achieve the wills and goals of our Heavenly Father. So I mean, that's what I kind of picked up from the Turtles, is it's that uniqueness of different abilities all coming together. And not just martial art kick butt, but sometimes you need Donatello's intelligence. Sometimes they needed Leonardo's leadership. Sometimes that wasn't ever enough, and even though we kind of think of Raphael as hot-headed, sometimes you need a little muscle behind it. And even with Michelangelo, everybody writes him off as being just the comic relief, but
he always kind of diffused things.
Yeah, I was literally about you need that comic relief in a high-stress situation. He would always kind of rally the Turtles to, when they were suffering from a loss, because they repeatedly got whooped hard by the Shredder and the Foot Clan. So, I mean, you need that.
And, it's two separate verses, but I know, there's a spot in Ephesians 4 where it's, talking about, to some he gave to be apostles, to some evangelists, prophets, and teachers, and then later on, Paul writes, I can't remember what book it is, but he writes, if your gift is teaching, then teach. If your gift is faith, then share faith. And it's the whole thing of regardless of what ministry God has blessed you with in your life,
Yeah.
there's no small insignificant ministries. Even someone could be like, oh well, I just drive the church van. Do you know how many kids wouldn't be able to come to church if you didn't drive the church van? Do you know how many kids are coming to know Jesus because you drive that church van? Don't ever view your ministry and giftings as insignificant, because if it's a ministry for you, it's there for kingdom impact.
Right. Did you pick up anything else during your research with Ninja Turtles biblically?
Now, I think that was the main one that I locked onto. I was trying to think of something from the second movie, because and every time I thought of the second movie, all I thought of was the Go Ninja, Go Ninja,
Go! One thing, and especially because I wanted to tie this back to the game a little bit, since we're doing this as a follow-up video for the Let's Play. When I was going back and watching the Let's Play, and I promise not all the views on the Let's Play is me.
Watched it 500 times.
Watched it 500 likes. Click, click, click. But during the game, of course, it being a beat 'em up game, there were times we were surrounded like crazy, and I'm just like, I feel like an 8-year-old just button mashing on Mortal Kombat, and it's like, I'm gonna die, like, what's going on? This button's not working right. But when we were surrounded by the foot soldiers, and I made a comment in one of the videos where I think I said, man, this is like when we're surrounded in life by the enemy, and you were like, hey, that's a good idea. But Ephesians 6:16 talks about one of the pieces of the armor of God, which is talking about the shield of faith, which is for taking the many arrows of our enemy. Now, of course, it's not talking about physical, actual attacks, but it is talking about temptations, tribulations, and all the different things that we deal with as we continue our walk with God daily. Many times tribulations do not come at once. I believe you mentioned earlier the rule of 3. Things always come in threes. You be quiet over there. But sometimes we really do feel like it's like we're in a season of just being volleyed by arrow fire, where we're just constantly getting hit and hit and hit, and either we're deflecting or we're getting hit. Like that's your only two options. Either block and keep going, or open yourself up and get hit. But when we're in those situations like that, again, that just going back to the game, it was crazy how overwhelmed we got all of a sudden. With foot soldiers coming out of everywhere, it's like there's 30 people on the screen. I don't even remember what turtle I am.
Stupid robot things.
But James, chapter 1, starting in verse 2, James writes, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect, complete, lacking in nothing. What James is telling us about here is the right attitude to have in a time of trials and tribulations, when we are surrounded. Because, again, we also know as spiritually mature people that most of the time, not always, but there's a good amount of times that when trials and tribulations, it's not just, oh man, I'm getting attacked again. It's also God's trying to teach us something. It is a teachable moment. And we either sulk like babies or we man up and see what we're supposed to learn during that time. And when we were playing the game, I felt that overwhelming sensation. I'm sitting here panicking. It's like, man, I don't want to die. I don't want to let Hannan down. But we pushed through it, saved each other with pizza.
Pizza.
We survived. We won the game. And had a great afternoon. So, again, going back to this idea of when bad stuff happens, like, yes, our human nature wants to say, well, God, why are you doing this to me again? Or even if you're not Christian and you're looking at it from a worldly standpoint, man, why can't I catch a break? But most of the time, it's either God's trying to get our attention because we walked away and we're not paying attention, or it's something that we need to learn from, because half the time getting through a trial and tribulation is all about the right attitude to have during that time, and leaning on God and growing our faith, so that way that shield of faith gets a little stronger each time.
Always keep moving forward. If you're not moving forward, that means you're dead. This is Psalm 91. This is a good psalm. Actually, parents, heck, even married couples, boyfriends, girlfriends. This is a good psalm to just kind of pray over your loved ones, because it is a psalm of security and trust. But it's like how what you're talking. It actually ties in a lot to the armor of faith and whatnot. But it's he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. For it is he who delivers you from the snare of the trapper and from the deadly pestilence. So any trouble that you're facing, it is him that brings you out of it, not you. He will cover you with his pinions, that's like a feather, and under his wings you may seek refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a bulwark. So literally the faithfulness of God. Remember, God is always faithful. We tend to screw it up. But the faithfulness of God is what is our shield and our bulwark. You will not be afraid of the terror by night, or of the arrow that flies by day, of the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, or of the destruction that lays waste at noon. Despite your circumstances, you will not be afraid. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not approach you. You will only look on with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked. For you have made the Lord my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil will befall you, nor will any plague come near your tent. Doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen, but it means you will be protected from it. You'll walk through them. You got to walk through the swamp. Gators all around you, but you'll be all right. For he will give his angels charge concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. This is not to create a theology of a guardian angel, by the way. Yeah. Your guardian angel is God. That's you don't. Yeah. We're not going to create that theology here. That's not what this is saying. We don't talk about God's protection and then decide that now we're going to say it's angels. No. They will bear you up on their hands, that you do not strike your foot against the stone. And that's the one that actually Satan uses against Jesus. Yeah. You will tread upon the lion and cobra, the young lion and the serpent you will trample down. Because he has loved me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him securely on high, because he has known my name. He will call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honor him. With a long life I will satisfy him, and let him see my salvation.
It's really striking, about how, like you're saying, it's not that bad stuff's not going to happen. And how much people will bring up Old Testament scripture and talk about how, like, oh yeah, like this says absolutely, like, no trouble will befall you. And then now you have, like, this whole, again, bad theology of nothing bad's ever going to happen. Again, we look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Bad stuff happened to them all the time. Did we think it was very comical as kids? Absolutely. Were we, like, thinking that it was an amazing TV show? Absolutely. But then we grow up and we look back at some of these stories and it's like, man, like, I've had
That was depressing.
Not in as comical way or as bad guy Shredder coming after me way, but hey, something like that has happened to me before. So it's always important for us to remember that we have that brotherhood and sisterhood to lean on, and we have God to fall back on.
And really, when you think of no evil will befall me, when you view it through the lens of eternity, such a small blip in order to have eternity with God.
Yeah.
Where all evil is done away with. It's all gone. It's thrown into the pit, and you just have eternity with God.
Yep.
In New Jerusalem. So, when you view things, it's like, yeah, that's the whole thing of this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Despite your circumstance, you're going to get through it, and it's going to be a memory to you years later, where you're going to be like, I remember that time when X was happening to me, and then you're going to be like, this is where I am now. And you have two options. This is where I am now is either going to be really bad because you decided to go off on your own and I'm going to do it my way.
Yep.
Or you stayed faithful and sought God, and then it's going to be, this is where I am now, and you're going to find that you have a more grateful heart in the situation that you're in.
Well, guys, that's all we have. We're glad that you enjoyed our Let's Play of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and enjoyed our follow-up video discussing the game and Ninja Turtles stuff. And we look forward to seeing you in our next video, which will be talking about Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, yeah, we're doing that in a couple weeks, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, God bless, and y'all have a great time. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I can finally say that.